Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the contribution of John Dewey, class 12th. Here in this topic, we will firstly discuss the life sketch of John Dewey, and then we will go to concept of education as given by John Dewey. So John Dewey was one of the greatest American modern thinkers, philosophers, pragmatists, and educationists. He was born on 20th of October 1859 in Vermont in England. He passed his matriculation in the public school of Burlington, and then he entered into the University of Vermont for further studies. In 1878, he completed his graduation in the said university at the age of 20. John Dewey completed his PhD in philosophy at Johns Hopkins University in 1894. He was appointed as lecturer in the University of Michigan, and in 1894 Dewey was appointed as HOD, head of the Department of Philosophy in the University of Chicago. In 1896, he founded laboratory school in the university, which made remarkable influences in educational practices and theory in America. John Dewey was a pragmatist. He has devised project method. He was a great reformer in the field of education. In 1902, he became the director of school education, and in 1904, just after 2 years, he was appointed as a professor of philosophy at the University of Columbia, and held his post up to 1930. And after his retirement, he remained as Professor Emeritus till death in 1952. This was little information about the contribution of, what he has done in his life from birth to death. Now, the concept of education according to John Dewey is something different. Dewey's educational philosophy reflects his general philosophy and his practical and pragmatic approach to education. He believed in pragmatism, in practical. He defined education as continuous reconstruction of experiences. Now, meaning of education according to Dewey. According to Dewey, education is the development of all those capacities in the individual which will enable him to control his environment and fulfill his possibilities. This is the whole meaning of education in two lines given by John Dewey. Now, he said that two sides of education. According to Dewey, education can be expressed in two main ways. What are these two main ways? One is sociological and another is psychological. Or we can say that psychological or sociological. What is psychological? Dewey says education must begin with the psychological insight into child's capacities, interests, habits. The psychological side is the starting point of all education. In the beginning, it is important to understand the psychology of the child in his interest, attitude, aptitude, individual differences. Then it is possible for a teacher to make his teaching and learning process effective. Now, sociological aspect of education. Sociological education is the process of socialization of an individual. To socialize an individual is the process of socialization, sociological education. The basic of education or the basics of education is the interest of the child and those of the society. Dear students, according to Dewey, true education comes through the stimulation of the child's power by the demand of social situation in which he finds himself. So, these two aspects of education or these two sides of education, one is psychological side and another is sociological side. Both are equally important. Unless the teacher would not apply psychological application in the classroom, his teaching and learning process will never be successful. In psychological aspect, he has to understand the individual differences, interest, attitude, intellectual levels, etc. Then he should start his teaching. And number two is sociological. Sociology is the process of socialization of the child. So these two are equally important, and we have completed Dewey's life sketch and concept of education. Thank you very much.